Hi, my name is Brian Primock. I'm Director of Sales and Employee Owner of InSource Solutions. In today's episode, we'll be featuring an OEE demo for one of our most successful clients. To lay the groundwork for this demo, I'd like to start by explaining how the OEE technology fits in the grand scheme of a typical program. In an earlier episode, we discussed planning and specifically the need to develop a framework and roadmap for companies to go from their current state to a visionary one with improved performance. We recognize that industrial customers are under more pressure than ever to justify the return from their application software investments. We believe that one way to accomplish this is through the installation of core platforms that are modular, flexible, and extensible. In most mature plants, there are 4 distinct platforms which form the basic building blocks of a manufacturing information framework. The first platform is data collection, which presents a common interface for data collected from a broad array of hardware, legacy systems, and even other application databases. The second layer is a manufacturing operations management platform, which supports common manufacturing activities. The platform enables modular solutions that can be plugged into it that address the specific business issues in your facility. The third layer is the manufacturing intelligence layer. It provides a single, coherent view of the plant. This layer pulls data from multiple platforms, and the modules represent different ways to present that information based on roles and functions. And finally, the process historian platform is a data collection DVR that records process data and provides tools that allow for troubleshooting and process optimization. So one of the reasons we selected Wonderware as our solution partner is that their product offering from SCADA to MES supports this framework. To show this, I've highlighted the manufacturing operations platform. Outlined in black are elements of the Wonderware MES application, which includes 3 software products: performance, operations, and quality. They provide the core functionality to address a majority of the business solutions we see in this tier. I also said the words product and application. Before we start with the demo, I'd like to clarify those concepts a little further. In our experience, OEE is tailored and built from off-the-shelf products, in this case Wonderware Performance, that can plug seamlessly into this platform. The application incorporates business requirements of the client with process knowledge of the implementation team to create a business solution from the tools in the product. But the key idea is that the product alone is not the solution. So we're going to take a look at an OEE demo typical of a packaging operation using simulated data. The final solution is built from the standard Wonderware Performance product, integrated with the best practices and experience of our team to create this very tailored application for packaging. In fact, we can and do use this as a generic template for clients looking to quickly deploy this type of solution. So let me introduce our Senior Solutions Architect, Bruce Telford, to walk through the demo from our Manufacturing Learning Lab in Davidson, North Carolina.
I'm Bruce Telford, employee owner at InSource Solutions, and I'm here to show you this. Fundamentally, we can call it a solution. It's a composition of things that have been integrated together to provide clients with what they need from a performance and production standpoint. So we've given it the name Production and Performance Package, and it's for short P3. And it's fundamentally built up of system platform, which is the standard for the HMI components, as well as the behind-the-scenes objects. And then, of course, for the OEE perspective, we've got Wonderware MES Performance. We have added some additional functionality to it, some sort of changeover management. We've added some scheduling behind the scenes, which are event-based scheduling. And then we've added the reports and components to it as well, as well as what we call this DY loss, which is the quality component. We've expanded on that concept to give reason codes, etc. So that combination makes up what this solution provides. So with that, let's just show you, go into the demo here. And it starts out, we'll start at the top and go work our way from top to bottom. We can log in, so we have the ability to log in, log out. We can also just log people in generically. A lot of customers will do that. And we have these basically indicators at the top for OEE, might be PLC connectivity, alarms might be something from your HMI network. We've had some situations where we've done WAN-based programming and you want to know that your network's in good shape. Likewise, we've got multiple lines. Now, in this situation, we've only got one. So this demo was fundamentally used to be used by that line that's behind me here in our, what we call our learning lab at InSource. And we're using this, but when it's not running like it isn't right now, we'll turn it into what we call a simulation mode, and we work from there. So right now it's in simulation mode. So you'd pick a line, you select it, and then it displays what's running on that line. So you would have your production work order and your item you're producing and start time of from your changeover. You then have your indicators. So we have indicators here that are the standards, the OEE, the availability, performance, and quality, which are mundane to OEE, which is what they are all about. These also give us sort of a trend below to tell us which way it's generally going. And then we have this production order progress bar, which tells us where we are within the concept of our production order we're working on right now. So it's great for an operator to get a sense of where they are and how much more they have to do. Then we have in the next panel below this, we have what we call the utilization grid. That's part of the Wonderware MES performance package, and we've embedded it into this HMI. And in here we have the notion we can run this in 3 different ways: automatic, semi-automatic, and manual. So we have the ability to do completely manual transactions, such as we're running or we're down, or we just, any options, we're idle, and the like. So it's completely manual. Or you have edits. So an example would be with a semi-automatic, it would fundamentally be PLC driven for the run bit and some other components, but not entirely PLC driven. And so you might have some conditions that occur. Your line went down, but you really don't know why. And so you'll default to something that's unknown. Well, this gives the operator the opportunity to go to one, highlight it, and then pick an edit. And so they would go click on it, edit, pick an alternate reason for being down, put some comment in it, and click OK. Once that's done, it's now being assigned some reason and so forth. And we've done a lot of this, by the way, because not everybody has conditions associated with PLC tags, or if they have the PLC tags at all. So there's always going to be the circumstance the line went down, we don't know why. Someone will find out and then go and behind the scenes change it from here. There's also the option to split. So we can go pick on the split. And why would you split? Well, if you know that something happened that started the down, but then something else occurred, because it was already down, it didn't display that, you can then go in and change that. So you can come in here, assign the before in minutes, assign the after, pick the additional reason code for the after, and then you save that. And likewise, someone may see something go down, it might be automatic. They might have a reason to say, hey, I know why that went down, let me just capture that. And so anybody looking at the reports later on can see why and when that occurred. This grid can be filtered, so we can do the last 24 hours, current shift, which we default to, current week if need be, and some other conditions as you need them. We also have the ability to change the event state, which is acknowledged both and unacknowledged. So we just put both in there right now. And then this just displays whatever's been highlighted, what the condition is running right now. Okay, and that leads us to the next section at the bottom, which is basically our navigation. Navigation, we've typically had a lot more buttons at the bottom, depending on the client that we're dealing with. We've had things like in sanitation, in changeover, maybe there's a quality screen that's associated with some other part of the line. So, this is highly changeable or customizable based on what's required for the application. Here we're just showing what's typical to this solution. So the next button is changeover, and this is behind the scenes. We've done a lot more work than most behind here, in that we monitor the changeover transitions from one product A, product B, product C to D, A to D, and so forth. And with that, we've got a time, how long we think it should take. So, like products might be faster than others, and then there's the other notion we have. So I'll show you that in a little bit, but so here in this section here we can filter. So if you've got a large item list, you can sort of filter down and load, and it'll apply the filter to what's being loaded. And so once you load, you pick so we're going to go from R to Y. We select that. Once we pick that, we say, all right, we're going to pick a production order for it. Now, behind the scenes, we can have auto-generated production orders, but or you can have those pushed down from other systems. So we facilitate the ability to push down from other systems into ours so that we read it, less human error, and it simplifies. It's better than what we typically see. Is a lot of folks, piece of paper on the shop floor, and they start going through the list. That's fine. It's just that there's always the ability to make mistakes when typing stuff in, as well as it's just not integrated for reporting purposes. So we may pick a work order. We pick a work order. It tells us how many we want in that work order. We're going to just keep it simple. I'm going to put in 600, and just because I'm changing it, we have this ability. We don't necessarily have to change it, but we can. And then there's this changeover type. We think this is important as well, because changeovers from one product to the other. I ran before the weekend. I was running on R full, and now I'm going to Y full, and a weekend's been between us now. Well, I might be wanting to do a cold start. If I pick a cold start, it's going to change my expected changeover time standard. So that standard that we have for product to product changeover plus whatever we need for a cold start would be what we're measured against. If we're doing a standard, it's pretty much straight off whatever the product to product is going to be. And likewise, we have the changeover maintenance. We've had people with lines where they pull out certain sections of a line and put in another section for that specific product. Choice is yours, but the point is we have standards we can measure against, and we've got reports that'll show there. So go ahead and confirm it. So here we can see we're going from this Y full bottle to an R full bottle, and this is changeover start time, and where the end time, this is sort of the expected based on the 3-minute default standard that we've set. So we can go back to our HMI, and you'll see in this panel up here that are in a state of changeover, and we know we're in change because we can't see our production progress bar. So the operators then go and do whatever they need to do to change on the line, and once they've changed it, they would come back in, and then they would complete the changeover. So once completed, you'll see we've now got, if we go back to the system, we're now doing the yellow, and we've just changed over. So we're busy producing. We've gone from a changeover state down here to a normal state of running, and we should be good to go. And behind the scene, we'll show you later how that's usable. So now DY loss. So I think we talked about earlier, quality is a word that we've decided to go away from a standpoint of the components of OEE, and we use the DY loss. So we will be changing this, but it's going to depend on the end users what they want. DY loss for us is simply an application where if we know, so we've implemented where there's there's PLCs that are counting as products go past a sensor, and they're counting the good product, but bad products are being plucked off the line, put in stacked, or they've been thrown in bins or wherever. And the reality is with that is it may be handled immediately, it may be handled later, and depending where their bin is, it could be a different location on the line. So this gives the operator the ability to come in here, pick the line, and this can be defaulted as well. So we now, I think let's pick whatever it is. We don't care. It was done probably previously. We now pick the shift. Now the reason we've done the shifts like this is there's a potential that you may have worked yesterday, the bin was left somewhere, they came back the next shift and they want to know, okay, that scrap was from last shift, I need to associate with the last shift. So you're able to pick your shift based on time here. So you pick your shift, you pick the condition, your reason, and then you insert an amount. So let's say 3, and I can just give a simple broken tops. If I could spell right. And from there, we save it. Once that's done, it should start to impact this quality component indicator here. Given that, this can be done over and over by different people, but we have this ability elsewhere. And when we loaded this, it was actually an embedded web page. And the reason we've done that is we see that not only do the operators do this on a day-to-day basis, but there could be a team lead who goes off to his office and may have to add some of this later. No need to have 2 HMIs. You can just use the web interface to do that. So with that, I'm going to close out on this application and move into the reporting components. So for P3, here's the web application that we developed that gives you, really we call it the system for management, and that is, here's where we can do our reporting, where we can do some configuration, as well as view how we're doing in our organization. So this fundamentally could be hosted on any website, but at the end of the day, we will provide this and you can choose where you want to go with it. Fundamentally, this is the web page. Its landing screen is going to be your KPIs for your lines. So if there were more than one line, this would be all the lines, and it's basically a KPI dashboard that tells us pretty much a lot what we want to know month to date on the OEE front. Some of the numbers might be a bit crazy because it's demo, but the point is, it is what it is. So we talked earlier about the scheduler. So if we were to go to the scheduler, for example, we have this notion where we can unschedule if you want. And so we can set times of the day where we're unscheduled. And so the system will then march along, and when that time was met, it would indicate back to the system platform that, hey, we're in an unscheduled mode. It doesn't do anything per se. It might change your you may have an event set up says running while unscheduled, which handy to know, because if you're doing planning and you want to know how often this happens, you may want to deal with how much you should be planning. It could impact all sorts of areas. It could be areas of improvement and so forth. But more importantly, it helps with your OEE calculation in a more accurate fashion versus saying, Joe, when were we unscheduled? Last week on Thursday afternoon, was it? And then trying to apply that to your reports. This makes it built in. We also have the ability, so those are losses that we got for scrap and waste that we produced, what we call the DY loss. We can edit them, so we can provide, in many situations, the editing of a loss requires some sort of certification. And so these panels on the left-hand side are visible based on the user level. I have full access, so they're all there, but you can exclude certain people from being able to edit, and then make this would form a login, and then that would be associated with the modifications to your scrap. So here's an example of us picking a filling line. We can go pick the yellow bottle. We can then pick the shift that we were looking for scrap in, and then we can get the records. And this will show us what was scrapped when, and some comments associated with it. If we decide we want to change one of them, we can click on it, change the 5 to a 4. It's generally a higher, very rarely does it go down. And you can then hit the save, and now it's changed, and that applies to the system. So any reporting, you will know, all this just goes straight into the reporting in a normal fashion. So that's your editing. You can, of course, if let's say, for example, it's a team lead, he's gone back to an office area, and he can add, or she can add, whatever they need to. Then we go to the daily meeting. So here, we've set this up in such a way that we can have, there's an analytical report, so people can go look at them. These are reports that are all been pre-built to go against the database, and it's fundamentally the same database. We've obviously chosen the Wonderware system platform to have all our additional content associated with. And so we've made them standard and accountable. So there's a variety of reports for basically the analyst in the group. And then we have meetings. So you might have a daily meeting, you might have a weekly meeting, and monthly meetings, and you want to set your links up in a sequence. So for example, if I have, our daily meetings, we might all convene in some room where we might project this on the screen, and we go through top to bottom, and this is some of the system for management dashboards and KPIs. There's the logbook for the team leads, etc., where they've logged data. And then, for example, here's the productivity report. So this is set up to automatically run basically on the previous day's information. So you can see, running these reports, you can see what your OEE is every hour over the course of a 24-hour period. You can see your efficiency losses, and they're broken down by what was scheduled time versus idle time. I.e., if you look back at that calendar, you notice we had some idle time associated with the unscheduled time. We then have the operating time, some downtime of that operating time, and you can see this is sort of a stacked, cascading chart, if you will, that fundamentally just shows you your losses. So over the day and in productivity. So it's really a productivity loss. It'll also show you, for example, your events, and the duration. So what were the most common example here is unknown downtime. So we want to address that perhaps. It depends on the frequency that they may have occurred. You might have so you can see you've just Pareto that, and you have an ability to go and address what you need to. We then have the performance summary. A performance summary just simply breaks down the OEE. It gives us how much scrap we've had, the scrap events and the reasons for them. We've also shows you the availability downtime. It also includes performance. We just haven't set any performance up on this application. And then, of course, at the bottom here, we have our changeovers. So from SKU to SKU, etc., and how many the actual time it took and the target times summed up for each one. We also then have the changeover, which is purely for changeover, making sure we can analyze our changeovers and address where we might improve. And that is, here's an example of those reports that are filterable, sortable, and providing some accountability to the end users. With that fundamentally ends the product as a sort of a global view, and we can move on to the remaining portion of this presentation.
So let me summarize a few key points from our webinar today. First, I talked about a modular approach based on a unified platform that makes it easier to create smaller, more manageable projects that allow you to scale to your final manufacturing execution vision. Second, Bruce walked you through an OEE application built from the experience and best practices of 20 years of implementation. Third, with regard to the technology, we choose Wonderware because their object-oriented modular approach allows us to build a template-driven application that can be quickly configured to the unique needs of our clients. And finally, When it comes to your solution, we have a checklist of the data elements needed to bring a solution like this to life in your plant. There's also several other elements we've discussed that are very important, such as planning on how this fits into your entire vision, and also preparing your people to believe in and act on the data. If you'd like to discuss your particular challenges, contact us and we'd be happy to arrange a conversation. So in our next episode, we'll discuss more about how to deploy an OEE solution, including how to deploy while maintaining a production schedule, what types of changes are required with respect to equipment, procedures, and standards, and what does a day in the life look like using the new system. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time in Extreme Factory Makeover, the Operational Efficiency Edition.